Summer tends to bring up all of our insecurities and self doubt. If you want to boost your confidence and self worth so that abundance can flow through every aspect of your life, then you need to join my free Summer of Self Love Challenge, where I will teach you 5 simple yet effective strategies to help you reclaim your self worth and receive what you truly desire. Click the link in the show notes to sign up for free. Hello and welcome back to Breathe More. I'm your host, Anna Lilia. Today, we're going to be talking about the biggest challenge that I see my clients struggling with when it comes to their workplace. Can you guess what it is? It's managing their stress levels and having a work-life balance. So many people that I work with, they have a 9 to 5 job. A lot of them also are soulful entrepreneurs. But what I see specifically in those of you who have a corporate job is this extreme exhaustion, this extreme dissatisfaction. And then I see a lot of the trauma responses. I see a lot of like shutting down, procrastination, avoidance, and then other strong emotions coming up because they're so overwhelmed with their workplace. So I work with people to teach them tools and also help them identify like, okay, why are you so overwhelmed with work? Yes, so many jobs are really demanding. So many jobs, especially nowadays and after COVID, like the workload has gotten insane where you're all working like 80-hour weeks. You have no time off. Plus, so many of you are parents. And then you're also holding this guilt of, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on my kids' activities, life, because I have this work call that I need to be on, whatever it may be. But I wanted us to talk about this because I also feel like it ties into this summer's theme of Summer of Self Love, looking at how you're taking care of yourself, how you're advocating for yourself. What systems do you have in place to really support you to thrive? Are you neglecting yourself? And if you are, that's probably being reflected in the workplace. Like how we show up in our personal life, oftentimes it's also how we show up in every other area of our life. So I want us to dive in and reflect on what might be causing the stress, what are ways to overcome it, and then what are ways for you to take care of yourself so that you're not feeling so stressed out, so that you can have more of a work-life balance. So if this is resonating with you today, let's dive in. All right. So one of the first things that I see my clients when they start to work with me is being really overwhelmed with the workload. And then when I ask them, like, okay, so why do you have so much work? Is this an issue with management, leadership? Are you the leader? I tend to work with a lot of people who are in leadership positions. So they're the manager, they're the head of department, and most of my clients are women. And what I have found was that they end up doing more of the work themselves, even though they're the leaders, the managers, the bosses, because they don't want their employees or the people under them to struggle as much as they're struggling. So instead of using their team, spreading out the workload, asking for support, or even going to higher management to reflect to them, hey, this workload is not manageable. What I always tell them is people don't know what's going on. They can't read their mind. Even me, I'm a clairvoyant. I can get information messages when I'm holding space, but I'm not a psychic. I don't know what all your thoughts are in your mind. Yet we have this expectation of people that they will just know what it is that we need. They're going to know, even if we don't say anything, that we're struggling. And that's very rarely the case. And so I coach my clients to go to upper management, to whoever is in charge of telling you what you have to do to have a vulnerable conversation and let them know what you are demanding of me, what is expected of me, this amount of work. This is too much for one person. My team is falling behind. I just want to be completely transparent. I want to let you know that I'm working 12-hour days and it's burning me out. This isn't sustainable. This has to change. And this is what I do with my clients. So I coach them to feel safe to use their voice. I help them first process the emotions, help them process like potential resentment or any strong feelings because we don't want that to come out in the conversation. We want you to show up to have these conversations, not being accusatory, but just being really transparent and letting them know this is what's going on. This is what I'm struggling with. This is the support that I need, or making a request or setting some boundaries. And every single time that I have coached my clients to do this, they get the support that they needed. They get compensated more because they didn't know that this is how much work they were doing. So there is a solution that can be had if we just speak up and communicate and use our voice. But so many of us struggle with communication. So many of us feel that our actions should tell the whole story, right? If we're hardworking, if we're working late hours, if we're not making any mistakes, then that automatically should tell upper management that we deserve a promotion. We shouldn't have to ask for it. We shouldn't have to ask for a raise. Like, can't they see all the work that I'm doing? And I totally understand that sentiment. I have felt it so many times, even though I've never had a corporate job, but even within my own business, where I get my clients the results, right? They get transformation and quickly. They have breakthroughs that they've never had with their therapist of 20 years. And there's been plenty of times that I feel like, well, that should be enough for them to want to continue working with me, or that should be enough for other people to come running to me to help them out. But that's not the case. I have to invite them. I have to let them know, hey, this is how I think I can continue supporting you. What's your next goal? Great. This is the plan that I think we need to approach. So I myself have to speak up and make my requests and let you know, hey, I now have availability to work with people one-on-one. If you would like to learn more info, click on the link to sign up for a free call for us to discuss what type of support that you need. And it's the same that we have to do this in our workplace. It's the same that we have to do in our personal relationships, friendships, partners, kids. That's the other thing. I won't go into the personal, but it is coming up. I see this exact same behavior and frustration and stress being created with partners because y'all are not talking and communicating with your partners and letting them know how you want to be supported. You're just assuming that your partner is seeing you working at your corporate job, picking up the kids, making dinner, making lunch, cleaning the house, and that they will see how stretched you are and how you don't ever rest. And that would automatically lend them to ask you, what can I do to help you? It is rare, the person who will automatically do that. And so I invite you to ask for the support that you need. But first, similar to what I just shared that I do with my clients, and I do this as well, helping them with their personal stuff, is you got to process your own strong emotions that you're feeling around this, about not having the support, about doing everything yourself, so that then you can go to your partner and communicate calmly without the emotional charge what it is that you need. So workload is a huge, huge point of stress in so many of the clients that I work with. And I really love when finally we get to a point where it's more manageable. With that as well, I want to point out that oftentimes this is the healing work that I do with my clients, where there is the fear, and maybe some of you are thinking this as you're listening, and my boss is an asshole. Like, he doesn't care. They also maybe are overworked. Like, it's the whole culture of the company. And if I don't work my ass off, then I won't get a promotion. Then I might get fired. So there might be this layer of all this fear that's also influencing how you're showing up at your workplace. Are you showing up with fear in scarcity mode? Are you showing up feeling like you have to do everything perfect? You can't make any mistakes. And so my invitation to you, and again, what I get them to do is help them identify, where is this perfectionism coming from? And then we connect with that part of them to comfort them, to love them, to also present a different way of doing things, to let them know that they're not going to get fired if they make a mistake once in a while. That's how they learn. Maybe you're starting a new job and you truly don't know what is expected of you, how to do things. And yet you're putting all this pressure that you should have it all figured out, even though no one has guided you on how to do this. That's wild, right? Like, talk about stress. And we're doing that to ourselves. So make a list of the things that are stressing you out at work. What are you in control of? What is out of your control? And what things can you do to minimize that control? So now let's talk about boundaries. I love setting boundaries. Yes, it's hard to implement them, especially if you're someone who's a people pleaser. Again, if you're showing up with all this fear at your workplace and feeling like, I just always have to do my best because I don't want to lose my job. I can't afford to lose my job. Instead of showing up in a place of, I trust myself that I show up and do the best work that I can do, given that day, given whatever's going on in my life. I trust that when I don't know how to do something, I'm going to ask someone to teach me, or I'm going to do some training on my own so that I feel more confident on how to use this new program that we're implementing. Or, yeah, just continuing your education so that you have that skill and you're not feeling insecure about it. Boundaries also comes into play, especially since so many of you either work from home or do a combination of working from home, where you show up, you open your laptop first thing in the morning, you're already going through your emails, even before the kids are at school, right? Before you've even had breakfast. And then that just continues. You don't take an actual lunch. You're eating your lunch at your computer. You don't take a break. You maybe take a break to pick up the kids from school. You make dinner, and then they do their homework. They're on the TV, whatever it is, and you're back on your computer until 10 p.m., 11 p.m. So there's no boundaries there. What were you hired for? Like, how many hours is in your contract or in your working agreement? And is there a way that you can carve out actual breaks? It's California law. For those of you in California, I'm sure every single state has this. It's state law that we have X amount of breaks when we're working. That's more than just a lunch break. So set an alarm. Block out your calendar during that time. You're not available for meetings. You're not available for responding. Go outside. So let's talk about some tips on how to support yourself in your busy work life. These breaks and these boundaries are so important because that creates the space for you to take care of yourself, for you to have a healthy, nutritious lunch to fuel your body with energy. for you to go outside, to breathe some fresh air, to receive sunlight, vitamin D, which is so important for our health as well, to do something fun, to take a break. And especially if you're a creative, this is important, especially if you're a problem solver. It's important to remove yourself from what you're doing so that creative inspiration, creative thinking, creative problem solving can come through. But that can only happen if we remove ourselves. And so I'm a big advocate of literally blocking out time in your calendar. I even do that for myself, and I'm my own boss because I can very easily work really long days and work every single day. And to be honest with you, I actually do. And when do I have a day off? I feel like there's always like an email or something that I'm answering. And so I'm preaching this and I'm going to be vulnerable with you and say, I struggle with this too. However, I also do block out my calendar. I also shut down the computer. I try to schedule my client calls on certain days so that the other days I'm just working on back end stuff, the computer stuff, recording the podcast, doing the newsletters, social media posts, etc. Right? So I try to have some systems in place so that I can have some space to live a life. Because then that, transitioning into talking about work-life balance, that's another source of stress. You are working the majority of the hours of your day, working and sleeping, hopefully sleeping. And then what about living? You're at this job that, okay, it's giving you money to pay for your life, but how are you spending your free time? Is it doing things that fill you up? Are you so exhausted, so burnt out, so tired that then you just spend the whole weekend on your couch vegging? And there's no judgment in that. There's a place for it. I love watching TV. But that's also something to pause and reflect on. Are my energy levels so low that then I don't have the energy or don't want to do anything else that's for myself? That could be something that's really filling you up, motivating you, inspiring you, just living, having interactions with people, eating amazing food, like doing the things that light you up. We didn't come into this human form just to work for someone else, to make someone else money. There's a bigger reason there. And yeah, not all of you are meant to be entrepreneurs. That's another very challenging job, right? It cracks you open. It's a never-ending healing journey because all of your stuff come up. But even having a 9-to-5 jobs, I have so many clients who do amazing things, who are an example of what a healthy and inspiring leader should be, right? They're showing up at their workplace, especially after they've been working with me. And I have clients who work with me for years because we're always just fine tuning. There's always another goal that they have that they want to accomplish. And so I help them get to that place. And so I've seen my clients change into becoming incredible managers and bosses, where then their employees, the people under them, reflect back to them like how grateful they are for the mentorship, how grateful for how well they communicate, for how they let them know what the expectations are so that they don't have to be guessing. I don't know what she wants me to do. Do I have to do all of this? Like, what's the timeline? There's clear communication. That in itself is a huge gift. And we need more of you in a corporate workplace showing up like this. Bringing in a regulated person, a person that knows how to manage their emotions, a person that knows how to communicate, how to hold space, how to be compassionate, where we're not projecting all of our unhealed stuff onto others, which I see that a lot in the workplace as well. So that I celebrate you for showing up that way and being inspiration for others in your workspace. And lastly, I want us to think about burnout, which is a very real thing. And I want us to start to look at the signs. Our body, our mind, they're always communicating to us. They're always letting us know how stressed out we are, what we need. And a lot of times we have blinders on and we push through and we ignore those signs, we ignore the messages. And a lot of times it's not until it gets so bad that you have to take a leave of absence that then you start to take care of yourself. And I don't want you to get to that extreme. And so the things that we've been talking about, having boundaries, communicating, asking for help, being better at your time management, all of those things are going to help you prevent burnout, right? And so if you are at a state where you're so exhausted, you need to get some help from medical professionals to healers to coaches like myself. Like, let's help you find out what is going on, what got you to this place. Because even if you take the time off, let's say you take a medical leave for a month, for 2 months, but if we don't address the core issue, you're going to show up with the same patterns, habits that's going to lead to burnout again. So if you are in that place, it's time. This is your big nudge saying, we can't ignore this anymore. Something is going on. Something has to change. And I'm going to do that investigative work with the help of others because it's hard to figure it out by ourselves. We're so in it that it's hard to make the connections. It's hard to recognize how we are getting in the way or not supporting ourselves. And so I'm a huge advocate of getting support so that we can start to show up differently and really take care of ourselves and love ourselves and say no. And maybe even deciding, hey, you know what? As much as I have implemented these techniques of shutting down the computer at a certain time, of asking for the support, of taking time for myself, taking full weekends off, this environment is still toxic. It's triggering. And I need to change. I need to find a new job. And so that's when we start manifesting that new job. And it's out there. I help my clients do that all the time. And it's incredible. It's amazing to see them leave a toxic environment and go to a new place where there's better leadership, where they're getting compensated for their skill set, where there's that invitation for more work-life balance. They exist, folks. Like, I just have someone in my mastermind group who manifested that. So if that's you, don't give up hope. I would love to support you. Right now, I have space for a couple one-on-one clients in my Radiate program. This is a quick, intensive 6-week program. And we meet. I quickly help you get to the point of what's activated, what needs to be regulated. We do that work. We do the healing work. We then do the mindset work, the reframing, the reprogramming, the stepping into confidence, and then we go into action mode. We go into manifesting. So if you're curious to learn more, I would love to talk to you on a free call. No pressure. Let me know what you're struggling with. I'll let you know if my program is a right fit for you. And if not, I will make other recommendations, but you can click on the link in the show notes or go to my website, annalilia.net, and it's under the program Radiate to book a call with me. Y'all, it is time to thrive. It is time for us to feel good in every area of our life. And so if in the workplace, that's a big stressor in your life right now, let's change that. And even if in this moment you don't think that things can change, I know they can. Reach out. I'm here to support you. Let's take some deep breaths together. And you got this. I'll be back next week for more topics on how to help you cultivate more self-love, more self-confidence, so you can step up and be your amazing self that you are and manifest the life that you desire. Thank you for listening. Have a good one.